If I could get to somewhere where I could write, or I could have a tape recorder, then I could explain a lot of this. It's very difficult to explain 10 or 15 years in 2 or 3 minutes. The reality of words only say so much. The reality of motion that moves in prison moves on life and death, on what they call a line, a main line. That reality comes from handball courts and weightlifting piles, and it comes from someone dropping weight on somebody else's head, of somebody owing something, of a blood family debt, that the way it burns back and forwards to where if Watson has got something he can't face and I go face his death for him, then he owes me back. And then the Frenchman takes his spoils and goes off into the battle for me, and I owe him one heart. So then I come back to Watson and I say, you pay the Frenchman what you owe me. He said, how do I pay it? I said, don't ask me how. I'm not your father. Do what you're told. Pay your debt or get off my road. So he pays what he has to pay, and he does what he has to do. I didn't direct him to do anything. I told him to be a man, stand up for himself. I didn't tell him what he should do or how he should do whatever he had to do. I said he has to do what he has to do. Wilson knows that, Claiborne knows that, the street knows that, the penitentiary knows that, and the brotherhood knows that.
What are you saying? You're saying you didn't say...
I never directed traffic on no street corner about anything, man. I haven't got time for that. I'm not going to get involved. I'm not that, what, insane? I'm crazy, but I'm not, I can, but I'm not going to take a chance on putting myself back to jail for what? For what? You deal me the hand, I got to play it. You give me the cards, I'm a mass murderer, I'm a hippie cult leader, I'm all these things the DA's laying out so we can bring the mafia from New York, so we can put Rambo in the movies. You see what I'm saying? In other words, he's got a lot more going than Helter Skelter. Helter Skelter is just one of those foot he's playing. Now, he comes back to me from Geneva, wants to be my sunshine, if I'll agree with him on his Helter Skelter theory. I didn't have any Helter Skelter in my mind. Let me explain something. The oven has SS written on it. I come out of the bakery, 1954. I'm Duke on the yard. There's nobody on the yard who beat me, doing nothing. They got 1 or 2 German kids that come from the Second World War that were raised in the Hitler Youth Movement that are very good, but they can't beat me. I rule the cigarette. I mean, that's, the dominoes, the checker games, you dig? So someone's got to be killed. Somebody told somebody some lies, and somebody's going to kill somebody. So I come out of the bakery pushing the broom, and they got this guy in the butcher shop, and they're stabbing him to death. I'm walking a line. I'm not a snitch. I don't run and tell the cops tales. I stand on my own 2 feet. So one of them looks over and says, Manson, get on the point. So I take the broom, and I get on the point. And I'm watching, and I'm thinking, that tramp better not move from me. If he moves to me, I'm going to take him home to his mama, you dig? So he doesn't move to me, and I don't move to him. So they got this guy, and they stabbed him to death. And you can't kill anyone in the kitchen in a penitentiary because it makes it bad for the food. It's bad for everyone. It creates a lot of paranoia. So they're cutting this guy in half, and they're trying to put him in the garbage can. They can't get him in the garbage can. So they cut him in half and bent him, and they got the elevator, and they're smashing the elevator down, trying to put him in the can. He's got half in one can and half in the other can, and they're trying to smuggle him out of the kitchen. And they smuggle him out of the kitchen, and I'm pushing the floor. The guy come up and says, what happened? What happened where? He said, what did you see? I said, see what? Where? What are you talking about? I don't see nothing, man. All my life, I've been on that line.
And you saw nothing?
I don't ever see anything.
You know nothing about
I know nothing. I know nothing. I'm zero. I don't get involved. I don't run and tell them cops protect me. I protect myself. And whatever happens, happens, man. People getting killed around me is no new thing. You come to prison, man, there's people getting killed in prison all the time. You go to San Quentin, these men, every time they walk the yard, they got to wear, you got your, no, yeah, look, he got to wear shields, man. In other words, you got all kinds of violence and fear that runs in these places. when you live a life like that, it becomes a natural thing, you know.
You didn't have a beef with those people?
No, not at all. I'll tell you what it was. Terry Milsher come up to the ranch and made some promises to a lot of people he didn't keep. It had nothing to do with me. He gave me $50. I gave it to the old blind German. The old blind German's got $53. The same thing the Emperor of Japan, when he came back from the crypt, he had 53 samurais there with him. You know, in other words, like when you come back from the graveyard, they're picking that back up. This justice system that they got here is not doing anything.
Okay.
You know.
Trying to say this, you said that you wanted to explain it. Let's try and talk first. See what it gets.
Okay. Tex is a rumpkin. He came to town. He's his mama's boy. The prostitute took his money. He said, can I live with you? I said, can you live with me? He said, yeah. I said, well, let me have that pickup truck. So he gave me an old pickup truck from Texas, he did. So I got this old pickup truck, and I'm letting him stay around the ranch. He's hanging around the ranch. A lot of guys like to hang around me because I'm underground. I'm what you call cool. I'm what everybody tries to be. When I'm down on the street, I ride a motorcycle. I got a lot of girls. I sing a lot of music. I play. I'm him. You know, that's my road. You know, for a while, until they grab me up and put me back in the cage again. But anyway, he said, this woman took my money. And he sees women lighting my cigarettes. And he's saying, yes, ma'am, open the door for you. In other words, he's a matriarch. I'm a patriarch. He sees the way I'm doing it. He wants to do what I'm doing, so he said he's going to go get his money back. So he went to go get his money back. And he went and he burnt the broad for $5,000. He beat her for $5,000. Some black guy called me and said, I'm Gangster Dan over here, man. You cook my money. I said, look, Gangster man, all you white brothers sort of together. I'm coming up there. I'm gonna burn everybody up and take that ranch. I said, no, you're not around me. You're not. You talk that shit to them little girls. When you come to me, boy, you don't have to, you know, because like I'll take your hat home to you. You dig? So we go through some changes, and I told Tex, go down there and face that man. Don't drag your shit to my door, man. He said, I can't. You'll kill me. You'll kill me. I said, well, if you're crazy, if you're scared, run home to mother. You dig? So he couldn't do it. So I had to go down there, and I ended up shooting the guy. And I had to go through some other changes with some other people and cutting some other people up. Yeah, that's the world I live in. I ride in a motorcycle group that's a bunch of crazy people. We're fighting and cutting each other all the time. That's no big thing, you know. But I'm always smart enough to get away without killing someone because I don't want to go to that gas chamber. I'm not going to kill nobody. If I can get away, I'm going to wiggle. I'm going to jiggle and get up on that line and push that broom and get on down. I didn't see anything, you know. In other words, I'm not going to get involved. I went actually for myself, but it was for Tex too, because Tex ain't got to have no woman. You dig? This black guy keeps taking his woman away from him, so I had to go get his woman back for him. You dig? Because he won't accept that he's his own woman. You dig? We're all the Queen of England. If we're the King of France, I mean, whatever that means, you know.
So what happened to Gary?
Huh?
What happened to Gary?
Gary sold some dope to some bad people. He sold some drugs that caused Beausoleil's wife to lose her baby. He was an informant for the government. He was playing all kinds of treacherous games that he shouldn't have been playing. See, when you're in the underworld, you got to be truthful. If you lie and you're faking and you're snitching and it catches up with you, it bites you. You do it to yourself.
Did you think he should have been killed for that?
I didn't think one way or another. It wasn't up to me to kill him. You dig what I'm saying? Here's the way that came down. Kid comes to me and says, Hinman owes me. I said, okay, what do you want me to do? He said, you're my brother, right? I said, yeah, that's right. He said, what do I do? I said, well, if you're big enough, go get your money. If you're not, sit down and keep quiet. He said, what would you do? Money, man, it's not worth the trouble. You dig? Let's go party, you know? I mean, what do we need money for? You know, we make it, we print it up, you know, it's got our faces on it, you know,
Why did he die?
Wait a minute, I'll explain it to you. I said, he said, all right, I'm big enough. I'm going to go get it. I said, okay, if that's what you want. So he called me a couple of days later and he said, man, this guy's got a gun. I said, don't invoke me to no violence, man. I just got out of the penitentiary. I don't want to go back. He said, you said you were my brother. And he said, what do I do? He's got a gun. I said, well, if he's got a gun, he's a coward. He must be afraid or he wouldn't have a gun, you know. I said, you don't need a gun, man. I said, don't reach for the gun. If you reach for the gun, he'll shoot you because you're putting his mind on the gun. Smack him in the